Have you ever met someone and felt like you've known them your entire life? Or visited a place for the first time, yet somehow knew your way around?
Oh, déjà vu.
What about that recurring dream where you're someone else entirely? These aren't just weird coincidences. They're fragments of your past lives leaking into your present consciousness. Ancient Buddhist masters discovered techniques to access these hidden memories thousands of years ago. And today, I'll show you how to unlock the secret stories of who you were before you were you. Hey, wisdom seekers. Matt here. What if I told you that your soul has lived dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of lives before this one? In Buddhist teachings, your consciousness doesn't vanish after death. It continues its journey. During his enlightenment, Buddha gained the ability to see his previous lives, a spiritual insight that revealed hundreds of past existences as part of the 3 knowledges of awakening. Just imagine what you might discover about yourself if you could peek behind that veil. In our previous video on samsara, we explored the cycle of rebirth. But today, we're going deeper. We're going to explore the signs that you've lived before, scientific evidence that's shocking researchers, and actual techniques to glimpse your previous existences. So stick around, because the person you are today is just the latest chapter in your soul's epic story. Before we jump into how to access your past lives, let's talk about what's actually happening when you die and get reborn. Unlike what many people think, Buddhism doesn't teach that your exact personality or soul jumps into a new body. It's more like your consciousness continues its journey, carrying the imprints of all your previous actions. Think of it like this. If you light one candle from another, is it the same flame? Not exactly, but there's a direct connection. The Buddha called this dependent origination. Nothing arising independently, everything connected to what came before. In the Dhammapada, Buddha said, "The thought manifests as the word manifests as the deed develops into habit, and habit hardens into character." This isn't just about your current life. These patterns carry across lifetimes. Now here's where it gets wild. Ancient Buddhist writings tell us about people who remembered specific details from lives they lived hundreds of years ago. The most famous is the Buddha himself, who, on the night of his enlightenment, gained the ability to see all his past lives. He described being animals, humans of different social classes, and even divine beings. And this isn't just ancient history. A psychiatrist named Dr. Ian Stevenson documented over 3,000 cases of children who remembered specific details from past lives. Kids who could speak languages they never learned, or accurately describe towns they'd never visited. Some even had birthmarks matching fatal wounds from their previous life's death. I know what you're thinking. This sounds crazy, right? But let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a strange skill that came naturally to you for no reason? Felt drawn to a specific culture or time period you have no connection to? Experienced intense déjà vu that felt like more than just a brain glitch? If you answered yes to any of these, you might be experiencing echoes from your past lives. And in the next chapter, we'll look at the evidence that's making even scientists question everything they thought they knew about consciousness. Let's get into the evidence. And trust me, some of this will blow your mind. Take the case of James Leininger, a little boy from Louisiana. At age 2, he started having horrific nightmares about a plane crash. He'd scream, "Plane on fire! Little man can't get out." During the day, he knew details about World War II aircraft that mystified his parents. When they showed him a map, he pointed to Iwo Jima and said, "That's where my plane went down." His father, skeptical at first, became a believer when James named his plane Corsair, his aircraft carrier, Natoma Bay, and even identified his fellow pilot friends from photographs. All historically accurate details no toddler could possibly know. James's nightmares were so vivid that he would wake up screaming and kicking at the ceiling of his bedroom, trying to escape his burning cockpit. After years of research, his stunned parents found evidence he was the reincarnation of James Houston Jr., a pilot who died exactly as the boy described. Or consider the case documented in our Buddhist archives of a girl in Tibet who, at age 3, correctly identified possessions of a deceased nun and knew secret details only the nun would have known. The monks tested her by mixing the nun's prayer beads with similar ones. She immediately picked out the correct mela and said, "These were mine in my previous life." Dr. Jim Tucker at the University of Virginia has documented over 2,500 cases of children with past life memories. Most of these kids start talking about their previous lives between ages 2 and 4 before they're exposed to these concepts. By age 7, these memories typically fade away. The young mind, not yet fully formed, seems to maintain a connection to what came before. From a scientific standpoint, consciousness remains the greatest mystery. The hard problem of consciousness, how physical processes in the brain create subjective experience, is still unsolved. Some quantum physicists like Roger Penrose even suggest consciousness might exist at a quantum level, potentially surviving physical death. From a Buddhist perspective, consciousness doesn't come from the brain. The brain is more like a receiver, picking up consciousness like a radio picks up signals. In the Lankavatara Sutra, the Buddha compares consciousness to an ocean with waves constantly rising and falling. Your current life is just one wave in this vast ocean of consciousness. Now, skeptics might say these are just coincidences or false memories. But when a 3-year-old can speak a dead language she was never exposed to, or when someone under past life regression reveals historical details they couldn't possibly know, it gets harder to dismiss. If you're feeling skeptical right now, that's completely natural. The Buddha himself encouraged questioning rather than blind acceptance. He said not to believe something just because it's tradition or taught by a respected teacher. Instead, observe and test it yourself. Throughout this video, I invite you to maintain that healthy skepticism while still considering evidence that has puzzled even the most rigorous researchers. Even Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, considered the possibility of ancestral memory, that we inherit not just physical traits, but psychological imprints from our ancestors. Buddhist masters would say that's partially right, but these memories come from our own past lives, not just our genetic lineage. Interestingly, modern near-death experiences, NDEs, share similarities with Buddhist descriptions of the between-life state. People who clinically died and were revived often report a life review that mirrors the Buddhist understanding of how karma transfers between lives. While NDEs aren't proof of rebirth, they suggest consciousness might continue beyond what we currently understand about physical death, aligning with ancient Buddhist insights. The most compelling evidence might be right inside you, those inexplicable fears, talents, and attractions that have been with you since birth. Where did they come from? In the next chapter, we'll look at the signs that you personally might be carrying memories from previous lives. Now let's talk about you. How can you tell if you're carrying fragments of past lives? Here are 7 signs that Buddhist teachers and modern researchers both recognize. First, unexplainable phobias. Fear of water, despite never having a traumatic swimming experience. Terror of heights with no obvious cause. In Buddhist understanding, these might be imprints from how you died in a previous life. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes how the moment of death creates powerful karmic imprints that carry forward. Someone who drowned might be reborn with an instinctive fear of water. Second, recurring dreams where you're someone else entirely. These aren't just random brain activity. In these dreams, you might wear unfamiliar clothing, speak languages you've never learned, or navigate places that feel strangely like home. Buddhist dream yoga practitioners consider these among the most reliable windows between lives. Pay special attention to dreams that repeat with unusual clarity or emotional intensity. Dreams where you have different physical features, live in a different time period, or possess skills you don't have in waking life are particularly significant. The mind in sleep sometimes slips between the barriers separating your current identity from previous ones. Third, instant recognition. Ever meet someone and feel an immediate connection or aversion that makes no logical sense? In our video on karma, we discussed how souls travel together through multiple lifetimes. The Sanskrit term pratitya samutpada, or dependent origination, explains how nothing, including relationships, arises without causes from previous existences. I experienced this myself with a meditation teacher I met in Thailand. The moment we were introduced, we both stopped and stared at each other with instant recognition. He later told me he felt we'd studied together in a previous life, and strangely, I found myself instinctively trusting his guidance in a way I couldn't explain. Many of you have probably experienced something similar. That person you felt you'd known forever within minutes of meeting them. Fourth, unlearned knowledge or skills. Children who can play complex musical pieces without training. People who can understand languages they've never studied. The Buddha described talents as seeds planted in previous lives that bloom when conditions are right. Fifth, déjà vu experiences that feel intensely real. Buddhist texts describe this as memory leakage between lives. When you experience something similar to a powerful moment from a past life, the barriers between lives temporarily thin. Sixth, birthmarks or physical traits that correspond to past life wounds. Dr. Ian Stevenson, though his work remains debated, documented cases where children had birthmarks corresponding to reported wounds from claimed previous lives. While fascinating, this research invites both interest and healthy skepticism. The Buddhist concept of gandhabba, or the connecting consciousness between lives, suggests how strong physical trauma might potentially imprint on the new body. Seventh, inexplicable attraction to certain cultures, time periods, or places. Feel mysteriously drawn to ancient Egypt without knowing why. Or perhaps Japanese culture feels more like home than your own. Buddhist teachers say these are places where you've spent significant past lives. And if you're that person who's a little too obsessed with ancient Egypt or medieval Japan despite having no connection to those places, I hate to break it to you. You're probably experiencing past life bleed-through. Sorry, it's not just a quirky personality trait after all. Though I suppose it's better than discovering you were, I don't know, a tax collector in a previous life. Some past lives are definitely cooler than others. Take a moment right now to reflect. Think about that city you've always wanted to visit without knowing why, or that skill that came naturally the first time you tried it. These personal mysteries might be breadcrumbs leading back to who you once were. So, how many of these signs do you have? One or two might be coincidence. But if several resonate with you, there's a good chance you're sensing echoes from your past lives. But sensing them isn't enough. What if you could actually access these memories directly? In the next chapter, I'll share techniques that Buddhist practitioners have used for centuries to pierce the veil between lives. Now for what you've been waiting for. How can you actually access these past life memories? Let's explore both ancient Buddhist methods and modern adaptations that anyone can try. Buddha shared a meditation approach called Pubbenivasanussati-jnana, the knowledge of remembering past lives. On the night of his enlightenment, he used this to see all his previous existences. While full mastery might take years of meditation practice, we can still adapt some elements for beginners. Here's a simplified version you can try at home. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably with your spine straight. Take 3 deep breaths to center yourself. Now focus on your natural breathing for about 5 minutes until your mind becomes calm, like still water. Once settled, bring to mind something from your life that feels significant but unexplained. Maybe a recurring dream, an inexplicable fear, or a place you feel drawn to. Holding this gently in your awareness, ask yourself, when have I experienced this before? Don't force any answers. Just remain open and receptive. As you try this yourself, don't push for dramatic visions. Often, past life memories begin as subtle feelings or impressions, a familiar scent, an emotion tied to a specific setting, or a fleeting image that feels strangely significant to you. As thoughts or images arise, observe them without judgment. You might see flashes of unfamiliar places, feel emotions connected to events you don't recognize, or hear snippets of conversation. These could be fragments of past life memories beginning to surface. Another powerful technique comes from Tibetan Buddhism. It involves focusing on the moment between sleep and wakefulness. As we explained in our recent video on the Tibetan Book of the Dead, these transitional states are called bardos. Just like the bardo between death and rebirth offer glimpses beyond ordinary reality, the bardo between wakefulness and sleep creates a similar gateway. Tibetan dream yogis believe this twilight state thins the veil between your current life and previous ones. When you're neither fully awake nor completely asleep, your consciousness can more easily access the stream of past lives. As you're falling asleep, maintain a thin thread of awareness while silently asking to be shown your past lives. Keep a journal by your bed to record any insights when you wake up. This practice works because, as we covered in our Bardos video, consciousness exists in a continuum, the same awareness that travels through the death. Bardo can be accessed in these mini-bardos we experience daily. If you've tried the meditation techniques from that video, you already have a foundation for this practice. For those who want a more guided experience, past life regression with a trained professional can be effective. Though not originally a Buddhist practice and somewhat controversial in scientific circles, regression can sometimes yield insights that align with Buddhist understandings of rebirth. It's best approached with an open but discerning mind. Through gentle hypnosis, you're guided back through your current life and beyond to previous existences. Important warning, though. Sometimes there are blocks between lives for good reason. The Buddha taught that some memories remain hidden because they might overwhelm us or disrupt our current life's purpose. If you encounter resistance or distress during these practices, respect those boundaries. Not all past life knowledge is helpful for your present journey. If you do access something disturbing, Buddhist tradition offers guidance. The purpose of knowing past lives isn't to dwell in them, but to free yourself from unconscious patterns. Apply the wisdom of impermanence. Anicca. Remember that whatever happened is not happening now. You are not bound to repeat those experiences. Some of you might be thinking, this sounds like imagination, not memory. The Buddha addressed this concern. He taught that the line between imagination and spiritual insight is thin. Trust your experience, but maintain right mindfulness, the ability to observe without attachment to what arises. The goal isn't just to satisfy curiosity, it's to gain insights that liberate you in this life. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. How understanding your past lives can transform your present existence. Discovering your past lives isn't just about cool stories to tell at parties. It's about transformation. Let me share how this knowledge can radically change your current life. First, those stubborn patterns that keep showing up. The relationships that always end the same way. The financial struggles that never seem to resolve. The health issues that persist despite everything you try. Buddhist teachings suggest these might be karmic patterns repeating across multiple lifetimes. In the Samyutta Nikaya, Buddha says, "For a long time have you experienced the death of a mother, the death of a father. For a long time have you shed tears." He's pointing to the endless cycles we get caught in. But awareness breaks cycles. When you recognize a pattern as ancient, not just from your childhood but from previous existences, you gain the power to finally change it. I've worked with people who discovered their inexplicable fear of abandonment stemmed from being left behind during wartime several lifetimes ago. Once they recognized the ancient source of their fear, their current relationship patterns transformed completely. Past life awareness also explains those inexplicable soul connections. Understanding these connections can bring incredible peace. That difficult family member might be someone you've had many lives to work things out with. That instant soul connection with a stranger might be recognition from countless shared existences. Then there's the mystery of your purpose. Ever felt like you were born with a specific mission but can't quite put your finger on it? Buddhist masters teach that we often continue the spiritual work we began in previous lives. The Dalai Lama's process of recognizing reincarnated lamas is based on this principle. Children are identified by their natural inclinations and abilities, carried from past lives. Your unusual interests or talents point toward your soul's longer journey. That random passion for ancient languages, your ease with certain skills that others find difficult. These could be continued threads from previous existences. By exploring them, you align with your deeper purpose. Past life awareness also transforms how you view death. In the Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha teaches that understanding rebirth releases us from fear of dying. When you recognize yourself as part of a continuous stream of consciousness rather than a one-time event, the terror of ending disappears. You see this life as one chapter in a much longer story. But the ultimate power of past life awareness is liberation from suffering. By seeing the patterns of attachment and aversion played out over multiple lifetimes, you gain perspective. The things that seem so important now look different when viewed through the lens of many lifetimes. This perspective naturally leads to greater equanimity and compassion. As Buddha taught in the Dhammapada, "Through many births I have wandered, seeking but not finding the builder of this house. Painful is birth again and again." When you recognize the cycles you've been caught in, you can finally begin to break free. But this leads us to some mind-bending questions. If you've lived before and will live again, who exactly will you be next? And what does that mean for who you are right now? Now let's explore the deepest questions raised by past lives. Questions that reach to the heart of Buddhist philosophy. If you've lived countless lives before, who will you become next? According to Buddha, your actions now shape your future rebirth. The qualities you cultivate and the compassion you develop become the seeds of your next existence. But if rebirth continues, what's the purpose of Buddhist practice? This gets to the core teaching. The cycle of rebirth, samsara, itself is characterized by suffering. Liberation means freedom from the limitations of any single identity or lifetime. As the Diamond Sutra teaches, all composed things are like a dream, a phantom, a drop of dew, a flash of lightning. The separate self you consider you is temporary, while awareness itself is timeless. Buddhist teachings suggest we've crossed paths with the same souls repeatedly throughout countless lifetimes. Your current parent might have been your child. Your partner might have been your sibling. Your adversary might have been someone you deeply loved. Each relationship offers a chance to resolve karma and grow in wisdom. The Tibetan concept of tendril, or auspicious connection, suggests that meaningful relationships rarely happen just once. We're drawn back to the same souls until we've learned what we need from each other. Next time you have a conflict with someone, ask yourself, what might we be trying to resolve from our shared past? And how many times have you been here before? Buddhist cosmology suggests the cycle of rebirth has been going on for an inconceivable length of time. In the Samyutta Nikaya, Buddha says the tears you've shed through countless rebirths would fill more than the 4 great oceans. That's a lot of past lives. Some might be thinking, if I've had so many chances already and I'm still here, what hope do I have? But the Buddha emphasized that human rebirth is precious, precisely because it offers the best opportunity for awakening. Unlike animals or other realms, humans have both awareness of suffering and the potential to transcend it. Each human life is a rare opportunity. This brings us to perhaps the most profound question. Can this be your last lifetime? According to Buddha, yes. The entire path of Buddhist practice aims at liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Not because life is bad, but because awakening to your true nature transcends the limitations of any single lifetime. In our video on nirvana, we explored what it means to be free from the cycle of rebirth. It's not about escaping existence, but awakening to its true nature. When you realize what in you is never born and never dies, the question of past and future lives transforms. As the Diamond Sutra says, all composed things are like a dream, a phantom, a drop of dew, a flash of lightning. Your separate self-sense, the you that seems so solid, is actually a temporary configuration. Yet what witnesses all these lives is timeless. Some Buddhist traditions describe advanced practitioners who choose to be reborn specifically to help others. These bodhisattvas, which we covered in our video on Maitreya, remember their past lives and purpose. While that level of mastery might take many lifetimes, each step toward greater awareness is meaningful. So here's your contemplation. What if you approached each day as both the result of countless previous lives and the cause of your future existence? How would you live differently? What patterns would you finally break? What qualities would you cultivate? The answers to these questions don't just shape your philosophical understanding, they transform how you live right now. Let's pull it all together. We've journeyed through the Buddhist understanding of past lives, from the evidence that makes even skeptics wonder, to the signs you might be carrying memories from previous existences, to techniques for accessing those memories yourself, and finally, to how this awareness can transform your life. The Buddha taught that understanding rebirth isn't just philosophical speculation. It's practical wisdom for living more skillfully right now. When you recognize that your consciousness has traveled through many forms before this one, everything shifts. Your priorities clarify. Your fears diminish. Your compassion expands. Remember the key takeaways. Your unexplained fears, talents, and attractions might be echoes from past lives. The techniques we've shared, meditation, dream work, and twilight awareness, can help you access these memories. Understanding your karmic patterns from previous lives gives you the power to finally change them. Your current relationships likely continue connections from many lifetimes. This human life offers a rare opportunity for awakening from the entire cycle. I want to leave you with a powerful quote from the Buddha. Just as the dawn is the forerunner of the rising sun, so true knowledge of the Four Noble Truths is the forerunner of the penetration of nirvana. Your growing awareness of your past lives is part of this dawning knowledge. It's not the destination, but a crucial step on the path. Now I'm curious, have you ever experienced something that might be a past life memory, maybe a dream that felt too real to ignore, or an inexplicable knowledge of a place you've never been? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might help others recognize their own past life connections. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Buddha's Wisdom for more insights that bridge ancient wisdom with modern life. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming video on how meditation actually rewires your brain. This isn't the first time we've connected, and it won't be the last. The awareness you're developing in this lifetime travels with you through the vastness of time. What if watching this video wasn't random chance? What if your soul has been searching for these answers across many lifetimes, and today is the day you finally begin to remember? The next chapter of your journey starts now. See you in the next video, or perhaps the next lifetime.